What's going on, guys? My name is Kyle and welcome back to another Spud Cup race day. Unfortunately, I couldn't race in this week's Spud Cup, so I have no idea what happened or how it went. So, without wasting time, let's jump in and find out together. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here at another Spud Cup race day. Today we're heading into Japan racing at the Okayama International Circuit. Today's track length is a total of 3.65 kilometers, and like I said at the start of the video, I wasn't here for this week's race, so I have no idea how it went or what we have in store today. So let's jump and have a look at our Heat 1 results to see exactly what our feature race grid is going to look like. We have a total of 14 drivers in this week's race, with Tom and Azro taking out the front two positions. Dart, Lord Munkus and Sketch rounding out our top 5, with Patrice, Josh, Patrick, Tim and CJ finishing out our top 10. Below our top 10 we have Toast, Pedro, Bobby and Aiden that finishes up the rest of our grid. So without wasting any more time, let's jump in, get ready on the grid and see this green flag wave. So here we are, ready to go. Any minute now the green flag will be waving and we will be underway, and we are. The grid is gone. Tom is out in front, being our lead driver of today. This is going to be where everything unfolds. Turn 1 could be quite intense, quite messy, but it's going to depend on how everyone takes this and chooses to tackle it. Tom goes a little bit wide, Azra right behind him. Right behind that we have Dart, Munkus, Sketch. A little bit of change, a little bit of carnage at the back here. We've got some carnage, there's some death. What is going on? We've already got people heading into the pits. We've got CJ, we've got... Who else have we got? We've got Patrick, we've got Tim. Absolute mayhem down the start of the race. Absolute mayhem. We have Josh, Patrick, Bobby and Aiden are all out at the moment. We have Josh and Patrick in the pits. Tim and CJ are now back out on the grid. This has just already been absolute mayhem and carnage. Just jump up to the front. We've got Tom right behind Azro and Dart. Munkus right behind that again. It's Sketch up, it's nice and close. This is going to be an intense race. Absolutely intense start. I don't know what happened with those drivers right at the beginning, but this is already proving to be one of those very interesting race weekends. What a start. What a way to begin. We went from 14 drivers at the end of our Heat 1. Now we have 10. 10 after that first accident. Munkus is just now making a move on Dart. Sketch is now making a move again. We've got a problem. Dart is gone. Dart has spun. There's more carnage. Lap 1, there's already carnage. We've had 4 cars off. Dart is now trying to rejoin the track. Isn't going to give Tim and CJ the opportunity to get closer. They're coming around the corner now. Is Dart back out on the track? He is. They're a little bit far behind. They're still coming around the corner now. You can see them. Dart is now in P8. We have Tim and CJ closing up the gap. Pedro is right behind Patrice, only 3/10 behind. This is going to be a really close, tight race. Sorry, I can't even speak today because this is just so exciting already. We are 1 minute and 30 seconds in to this 30-minute race. Tom has now done the fastest lap of the race so far with a 1:31.5. I have lost all ability to speak this week. I cannot believe how intense this has already been, and now watching this back, already our first lap, it makes me jealous that I wasn't here to be part of this. There's absolute mayhem already. We're looking at Pedro now. Let's jump on board with him. You can see exactly where he's sitting and exactly what is happening up with him today. He is going to be really close right behind. You can see locked up a little bit, and there's a little carnage. Oh God, Patrice spins. This is already mayhem, absolute mayhem. Pedro, I don't know if Pedro locked up and nudged the back of Patrice or what's going on there, but Patrice has now dropped down. Toast has made his way up to P5, Sketch P4, and Pedro now right behind. There's absolute mayhem. CJ and Tim have both come into the pits as well. They're both coming out of the pits. They're side by side out of pit lane. What is going on here? Okayama has just been mayhem. It's just shown absolute relentlessness already. This is just crazy. Absolutely insane. Let's jump back up to Munkus now because they are on a lead lap. Munkus is 5/10 right behind Azro. Tom still out in front with a 1.5 second lead, already showing his commanding difference. This is definitely going to be one of those very interesting races. I'm very curious to see how this rounds out by the end of today. Patrice and Pedro are changing positions. I think Pedro's blinking a little bit. It's confusing the overlays. Tim now just made a move on CJ. Has CJ had a bit of a problem? I don't think so. Tim has just gotten past him. Great moves by him. We've got Pedro now just within striking distance. Munkus is now also 3/10 behind. This is our lead cars here. This is going to be very interesting to see how these guys show the rest of this lap. Tom now done the fastest lap so far with a 1:28.9. Insanely quick. 3 seconds faster than the last fastest time. This is going to be a very tight race for those guys up the front. And now everybody with those damage and there's carnage at the start of the race. It's going to be very interesting. You can see Josh there on the right-hand side pulling out of the way to let the faster cars through. I'm very curious to see what is going to unravel with the end of this race today. I knew that there was going to be some problems. I knew there might be some accidents with Okayama being such an intense track, especially at the start of the race, but I wasn't sure exactly how this was going to show and how this was going to look leading into the first couple of laps of today's race. You can see Munkus is right behind car number 13, which is Adro. He is not going to let off. Not going to let off at all. You can see him on board with him now right behind super tight. Coming to the hairpin, the right-hander here, heading in to this hard left before you go into the slower part of the track. Munkus is now 4/10 behind Azro. Not going to let up. You can get in the slipstream with these cars, and like we've said a million times already this season, the slipstream with these F4 cars is make or break. If you're nice and close and you're there, you can really capitalize on that that difference in aerodynamics that you get by being in the back of it. You can see right behind Azro, 2/10, nice and close. Munkus is not holding back. Azro's line, fantastic. Munkus is right there. He does not want to get him out of that way, but he is going to hold on and try and be as patient as he can to make this move. This is going to be a very interesting set of couple of corners for them. This next 2-3 laps could be very, very close. We'll see here. You can see Azro trying to shake him, trying to shake the slipstream, but he's not going to hold up. Munkus is right behind. Having a look at the sectors now, we can see exactly what's going to be looking like for Munkus and Sketch behind. We have Munkus is just on the fastest sector 2 of the entire race with a 19.6, and you got Sketch that is very, very fast in sector 1 and 3 behind him. Again, Munkus really, really close behind. 2/10, 3/10, a little bit wide there in that left-hander, but he's still very, very close. Pedro now heading into the pits. We've got Pedro now coming to the pits, whether for it's to damage or to get some fuel. Now, like I said, I wasn't part of the race this week, so I don't really know how this is going to go for the way of fuel. You can either make the full 30 minutes in some of the races that we've had so far, but there's been no guarantee of getting to the end without stopping. So sometimes you will, sometimes you won't, and I think it's going to come down to how much fuel you want to save and how much you're going to be using throughout the majority of this race. You can see Munkus now moving on to the inside. Azro trying to get the defensive line to get up on the inside there of the right-hand hairpin before heading into the slow part of the track. Munkus right behind in car number 5, still 3/10 behind. He is not holding back. He wants to stay nice and close to Azro, and he's driving this entirety of the races he's been in this season is definitely showing how quick of a driver he is. And now he gets a bit of a run. Gets a little bit of a run. He's now side by side heading into the left-hander. He backs up a little bit to try and tuck in. He tucks in right behind. Azro gets a really good defensive line to lead him up on the right-hander here coming through. Munkus really staying close. I don't know if they nudged. It was a little bit of a look, but I don't think he nudged. It was a little look in, but nothing too crazy. You can see right behind him we got Sketch 9/10. But even if we jump all the way up into Azro's car, we'll look at the back, see what he's looking at right now. You can see Munkus goes a little bit wide, gets on the dirt just a little bit, sprays a little bit of that dirt up in Sketch's face to make it a little bit harder. But this has given a good opportunity for Azro. Tom is now, by the way, 4 seconds ahead out in P1. He has made a 4-second gap. Whether that means Azro and Munkus have been battling a little bit, that's given him a little bit of a run. Never can tell. Can never tell with Tom. His pace is just always absolutely insane. Azro goes a little bit wide. Nothing too crazy. Stays up on the track, but that's given Munkus a good opportunity to get nice and close and get behind him. A little bit of the battles we've got behind. We've got Sketch battling third. He's getting really, really close and trying to get in that slipstream at this point to capitalize on that aerodynamic difference. Dart is now in P7. He's right behind Patrice, 5/10. Really, really close. Let's jump down now to Dart and see exactly what it looks like for him. This is going to be a very, very tight set of laps for these guys. Dart now 3/10, 2.5 tenths. I don't know if Patrice has got some damage, but Dart is making some great time. Really good time. Patrice moves up to the inside to get out of the way and try and hold that defensive line. Dart trying to make it on the outside. They're side by side. Side by side. Patrice is blinking. What happened to Patrice's car? What happened to Patrice's car? Dart, you can't do that. You're not allowed to use magic out on the racetrack. This is ridiculous. That is absolutely insane. Patrice was there. He's gone. If he's right still side by side with Dart, Dart has no idea where he's gone. Where has Patrice's car? What is going on? I'm seeing sparks. I'm seeing a lot of sparks, but I'm not seeing the car. What is going on? I can only imagine Dart is freaking out right now. Where is Patrice's car? I have no idea what is going on here. I'm seeing sparks out in front of the car. What is going on? This is just absolutely insane. This is absolutely insane. You can't see it from Dart's point of view, but you can definitely see it on the other cameras. What is going on here? Patrice is now out. Patrice isn't on board. What is happening? I knew being away for 1 week was just going to cause mayhem. I don't know what's going on. Let's have a look at Munkus quickly. Munkus is right behind Azro. There's just stuff happening everywhere. Absolutely insane. 2.5 tenths behind Azro. Still up in P3. Tom still commanding ahead with a 4.5 second lead. Absolutely insane. CJ getting back close to Tim. They are both P8 and P9. We've got Munkus and Sketch and now closing the gap. Getting nice and close. Really, really tidy between the three of them. This is going to be a very, very interesting way to look. Let's have a look at the sectors now for both Azro and Sketch. You can see Sketch was faster sector 1 than both of the other cars. This is going to be very, very interesting. If Sketch can stay close and get up there, he can really make a good opportunity. You can see Lord Munkus and Sketch were both faster than Azro in that last, in Sector 2, but he is doing a very good job. Azro defending very, very well, trying to move across that inside line and close it off and make sure he will not get dove on. But this is going to be very interesting for him through this part of the track, because we do have a very hard left coming up ahead, followed by a very hard right, and then we have our final 2 turns leading into the straight. So if Munkus or Sketch can get a good run, this could really mean some good opportunities for them to make up some difference. Let's have a look now. We'll look at Azro's gearbox to see exactly what's happening from the rear view of him. You can see car number 5 is Munkus. Right behind that is Sketch in car number 8. This is going to be really good. You can see Munkus getting a really good run out. Really, really good run out. This is good. This could happen. This could happen here. Munkus trying to stay in the slipstream. Right behind Sketch. Sketch right behind Munkus trying to stay in the slipstream. Here we go. We can see Munkus pulling onto the outside. Azro trying to hold the defensive line. Sketch making a really, really good time. Munkus trying to tuck up on. Oh, trying to tuck in. He does. He tucks in a little bit, but is it enough? I don't think it's enough to make it happen. He's staying nice and close, getting a little bit squirrely the tires and not trying to give him as much grip as he needs. This is going to be very, very tight, but that's not it. Right behind him, you've got Sketch, 1.5 tenths behind, only a tenth and a half behind. You've got Munkus. This is going to be very, very close. It came a battle between Munkus and Azro in 2 and 3, but now it's going to be Sketch and Munkus for the podium in 3 and 4. This is going to be very interesting. Pedro now crossing the line with his fastest lap of the race being a 1:28.6. Very quick laps. You can see the battle here between 3, 4, and 2 is very, very close. Azro, Munkus, and Sketch are really putting on a show for us today. Absolutely incredible driving. Toast is now out. Toast is now out. I don't know if he's out of the race. I don't know if he's out of the track. What is going on? What is going on across the board today? Toast is disconnected. I don't know what is going on. This is just absolute mayhem. We started with 14. We're now down to 9. Absolutely insane. Patrice is out. Patrick's out. Bobby and Aiden are both out. And now we've got Toast out of today's race. We've currently got Pedro up in P5. He's getting past these positions. He's doing a bloody good job. Munkus is now 3 tenths behind Azro. This is going to be a very, very interesting finish to today's race. We are currently on lap 7 or 10 minutes into our 30-minute race. We're 1/3 of the way there, and it has already been a very, very interesting and intense race so far. I'm very interested to see how these guys stack up at the end. If they can keep it clean and keep it tight, this is going to be very, very interesting for them to see who's going to make the move and who's going to take the chance. Munkus is still now moving out of the slipstream for Azro, but Sketch is staying right behind. He backed off a little bit there. You can see Sketch backed off, lifted up a little bit early, and tried to get a little bit of distance to make a good line and try and keep it as safe as he could. That's good driving by Sketch there to make sure he can capitalize on these points this weekend, because I'm not there to contest him. I'm going to get flamed for that, Sketch. You know that I love you. Sketch is now P4. We've got Munkus P3 and Azro P2. He is right behind. This is incredible driving. Really, really tight race so far. And like I said at the start, I'm very, very jealous that I wasn't here to take part in this, because this is looking to be a very, very interesting race so far. We got Tim. Tim is stuck. It looks like Tim is stuck. What's going on here? Tim is spun. Oh, Timmy. And CJ spun as well. What is going on? What has happened? Has there been an accident? Has there been some carnage? CJ's got a little bit of damage to the front splitter. Nothing too big. He's holding back. He's trying not to get out on the track and get in the way of the cars coming past him. Great job by him. Thank you so much to CJ for getting off the track and waiting for the other cars to pass before joining unnecessarily. I appreciate you, bud. You're an absolute machine. What an unfortunate way for Tim and CJ to have another bingle. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if it was a little bit of hard racing. I'll have to have a look back at the replays later and see exactly what is going on. But so far, this has just been absolutely riddled with carnage. Absolutely riddled. CJ's now at a disadvantage with that damage to the front splitter, because Okayama has a lot of fast corners. You can see him now coming into pits, because he's going to have to get some damage repaired to make the opportunity out of this car, because it's going to be quite difficult to get any sort of downforce with that car and do these fast corners if you don't have a good front splitter. Very, very unfortunate for CJ. Let's jump up to our drivers now at the head. We've got Munkus still nice and close to Azro. We've got Sketch is now 2 seconds behind. What has happened with Sketch? Maybe he had a little bit of an incident, a little bit wide, maybe gone off track just slightly. He's now 2 seconds, but he is trying to claw it back, now down to 1.8. He's not going to let that go. He is absolutely not going to let that go. Looking back behind Azro, on board with him now, you can see Munkus still 7 tenths behind. Pedro has now completed the fastest lap of the race again. Doubled down. He did the first one a couple laps ago, and now he's done it again with his fastest lap of 1:28.2. Absolutely insane speed. Absolutely rapid. Like I said, now we have 9 drivers left. It's gone from 14 to 9. This field is slowly thinning out. This is absolutely insane. It's almost like a race in the 2022 F1 series with all of the problems that we've had throughout the start of the season. They're just dropping like flies. Absolutely bananas. We can still see the only driver close to making any sort of opportunity on overtake at the moment is Munkus. He's 6.5 tenths behind Azro in P2, and he is not holding back. He is absolutely relentless. Wants to keep as close as he can, and he is not going to let Azro shake him. He's staying really, really close to that car, and I'm sure Azro's probably feeling the pressure because you know one small mistake and Munkus is going to be there to take that position away from you. You can see Sketch is now making it up. He's gone from 2 seconds to 1.8. He is making up that time. Great job from him. Let's have a look at our sectors now and see exactly what's happening across the board. You can see Sketch slower in sector 1 and 2, but half a second faster in 3, down a little bit in 4. So he is losing a little bit of time. Looking at the last laps, you've got Munkus. Last lap was 129.5. Sketch was a 129.7. So very, very close, but he's really going to have to smash those times out to get closer. But you can see now 4 tenths. Munkus is 4 tenths behind. Sketch now 2.2 seconds. He lost a little bit of time in that last little sector of today's race. You can see really, really, really close. I don't know why it says lap 17. I think the overlays are having a bit of a mental breakdown with all the carnage and lack of cars that have changed it out. We'll go back to the sectors and have a bit of a look to see and monitor how this is going to go out. You can see Munkus now 2.5 tenths. We'll jump on board with him and see exactly what is going on. You can see Azro on the inside, car number 13. Munkus brakes very late. Tries to drag it out as best he can. Azro nice and tight. We've got another car on the road. That's Timmy. Timmy's out on the right-hand side. There's just problems everywhere. It's just absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I'm kind of glad that I wasn't here for this because I know I'd be off as well. Absolutely insane. Munkus 4.5 tenths behind, staying really close to Azro. This has been very, very tight, close driving across the board today, which is really, really good to see. Azro doing a great job of closing off that door and keeping it defensive. Really, really good job by him. Azro's now a 2 tenths down in Sector 1 and 2, but he's made back up in Sector 3 in comparison to Munkus. This is going to be a very, very interesting drive between the two of them here, depending on how long it takes for the tyres to start to deteriorate and what's going to happen with the fuel. I'll be very curious to see. Tom has now done a lap of 128.8. Absolutely insane lap. He's not even trying. He's out there 6.5 seconds ahead. He's really not got much to worry about at the moment. He's doing a great job doing his own race, keeping his head down and trying to keep it as consistent as he can. Great job from Tom. His driving is just absolutely mental. You can see now Munkus is down 2 tenths and 1 tenth sector 3 and 4 in comparison to Azro, but he is making it up in the start of the lap. So we're very, very interested to see what is going to happen across the board and where these drivers are going to make up their times and what is going to happen. You can see now Sketch jumping out of the car. We'll see Sketch is a little bit further back. He's now starting to slow down. I don't know if that's him lifting off to try and save some fuel or if he's being a bit more conservative, trying to do the undercut. I'm not exactly sure what is going to happen here with Sketch, but we'll find out later on in the race. Like I said, we're now 16 minutes into our 30-minute session, so we've just gone over the halfway point. This is really where things are going to start to happen. Drivers are going to start pitting. People are going to start getting into the pits to get some either some fuel or have to repair the damage that they've dealt with for the rest of the race. This is going to be very, very interesting end to this session. I cannot believe that we started with 14, we're already down to 9. It's absolutely showing how difficult Okayama is in these vehicles. These cars are really fun to drive, but can be quite difficult when it is as tight as it is here at Okayama. Let's jump now down to Tim and CJ. We've got Josh down there as well. Let's have a look at Josh's car number 31. He is 23 seconds behind CJ. CJ is 20 seconds behind Tim, and Tim is a full minute behind Dart out in P6. Like I said, Okayama is a ruthless track, and once you get separated from the pack, it does make it quite difficult. We're on board now with Josh, seeing how quick he can get this car. 201 kilometers, 203, 210. He's hit about 210 Ks before he starts to brake, gets down into second gear, holds the right-hand side, tries to feed it a little bit wide, but you've got to quickly jump to the right-hand side to then cut across this part of the track, really using as much of the track as you can, getting down into third, maybe dropping to second. No, he doesn't, stays in third. Plants his foot as quick as he can to use the outside of that track and really try and keep the momentum with this car. You don't want to get on the brakes too hard if you can. Down to the second gear here, nice and tight to the hairpin. That is a really, really tight set of corners. And again, down to second, really want to hold that inside curve and then power out as quick as you can. You want to power out to that outside line, and then this is where things really get interesting. You want to be flat foot all the way through this part of the track, and then you want to sort of lift off, drop down into third, hold it on the right-hand side, and then feed it out to that outside area of the track and try and keep as much speed up as you possibly can. Josh doing a really, really good lap here and just showing why he's such a consistent driver. doing a great job so far this season. Incredible work. 131.2 for Josh's last lap, which was his best lap so far. Great job across the board. Tim is now really close to CJ. CJ is now out in front of Tim. What is going on here? Tim spun. Another one. Timmy is really having a rough time with his car here today. These cars, like I said, they are not easy to do, but Tim does have a little bit of damage in the front of his car, which makes it very, very difficult. The minute you have any damage in your front splitter, all sort of front downforce disappears, and it makes it quite hard to really put and commit to any of these corners, because you'll just either oversteer or you will understeer out into the grass. It's really, really difficult to keep it consistent and keep this car on the track once you have that slightest bit of damage. Makes it really, really hard, really, really difficult. Really makes you think about what you want to do with your decisions, to either pit or get some repairs, get some fuel while you have to, or tough it out and then hopefully save enough fuel to make it to the end of the race. But this is going to be a very, very interesting tactic for Tim to see how he's going to turn out. Pedro has now done his fastest lap of the race, absolutely killing it with a 128.1. That is a blisteringly quick lap. But you can see now Monk is on the leaderboard. He has 2/10. Let's jump to him now. 2/10 right behind Azro. Look at him charging down, absolutely beaming through this part of the track. Still on the outside, they're side by side coming through the hairpin. They're less than a 10th between them. He brakes a little bit harder, tries to tuck in and goes for the cutback. He's now right behind Azra in car number 13. He gets a way better line than Azra does. Azra has to really hold him off and get on the inside line to defend. Azra's still doing a great job defending from this attack. This is a really, really good job from Azra. Like I've said a million times, Azra's driving, Jack's ability to drive this car is just absolutely insane, and his racecraft alone is just something that I envy all the time. I wish I had the sense that he does. He's doing a really, really good job there, trying to hold off Munkus and stay out in P2. This could be a good finish for him. Really good position to get on the podium for the Spud Cup this late in the season. So great job from Azro so far. Munkus, again, incredible work. Really, really putting Azro through his paces. And you can see this is where things are going to get very, very interesting. You can see him right behind car number 5. 13 is Azro, less than a 10th and a half behind him. This is where things are going to get very interesting. Coming down to turn 1, let's see what happens. He gets on the switchback. Azro is a little bit wide. Munkus still right behind, 2.5 tenths behind him. They're doing 160 kilometers at the moment for this hard left. This is where things are going to be interesting. This is a fast, sweeping left-hander before we get back out on the straight. Let's jump back on board with him now. Munkus really going to that outside line as best he can, right behind Azro. 2.5 tenths still. He is not going to hold off. Not going to hold off. I'll be very, very interested. Look at the line. He's made a lot of time. This could be it. This could be where it happens. This could be where it happens. Very, very interesting. You can't see a bloody thing with all those trees. Not a bad thing normally, but when you're trying to look through a blimp, it makes things quite hard. Do we see? We can. They're side by side. Get out of the freaking way, trees. They're side by side, heading to the hairpin. He's a little bit ahead. Azro tries to hold off the inside. Monk is still on the inside. This is going to give him a great line through the 6th part of the corner. If he can get a front, he backs off. He backs off a little bit because he doesn't want to get cleaned out with Azro. He doesn't want to make an accident. Great smart driving between the two of them here. He made a move. He couldn't make it stick. He backs out and he gets ready for another one. Incredible job by these guys so far. I'm so impressed with the level of driving that's happening here in the Spud Cup at the moment, and well done to these two. Monk is still not holding back. 2/10, trying to poke a nose in and get closer, but he's really trying to hold off and make sure he can make the move when it counts, so he doesn't make any incidents or do anything wrong in that process. Having a look now at the sectors, we'll see exactly what is going on. Munkus goes wide. We shouldn't have looked at any bloody sectors. Munkus, I'm so sorry. He goes a little bit wide. This is great news. Great news for Azro. Azro now gets to make a commanding lead. Sketch is now closing in on Munkus. This is a very, very different change of pace. I'll be interested to see how this changes the outcome of today's race. Azro now gets a 2.5 second gap to Munkus. Munkus now has to make up quite a bit of time. He's been on his tail for the majority of today's race. Does this mean Azro has a little bit of leeway to finish off today's session? He is now 21.5 minutes in. We only have 8.5 minutes left of today's race. This is make or break. Munkus really has to put his foot down and try as best he can to get closer. This is going to be a very, very interesting finish to today's race. As if Okayama this round hadn't already been riddled with excitement, this is just adding layers and layers to it. Sketch is now 6 seconds. What happened to Sketch? He was right behind. Well, he was right behind. Sketch was within 2 seconds of Munkus. Now something's happened. I think Sketch had a little bit of a squirrely area, made it quite difficult. He's now 6 seconds behind Munkus. I dare say, unless there's a big change in the next 8 minutes, we could be looking at our finishing positions here. Very, very interested to see how this plays out. Josh now completing his next lap, 131.3. Good lap across the board from him. Again, really consistent driving by Josh. Well done.
We've now got Munkus 3/10. Oh, and Tom is blinking. I think he's blinking, or he's getting into the pits. He's not. He's blinking, just getting past Tim on the main straight there. And you can see right out in the distance, that is Azro. 7 seconds behind. Azro now heading onto the straight as Tom is leaving it. And like I've said a million times already, the driving that Tom has had this season has been absolutely insane. Definitely one of those drivers on the grid that you envy every time you see him pass you. I don't know why the lap times are thinking we've done 23 and 25 laps. We've only done 16. I think all the driving and all the mayhem this week has just really proven to put our overlays to the test. But like I said, Tom's driving and Tom's ability to keep this car consistent and quick is a really, really impressive feat. Really, really great job. Pedro now doing a really quick lap with a 128.1. He's just constantly improving on his fastest laps. I'm so impressed with the speeds that are going through this car, and well done to Pedro. You see one fastest lap from him one lap. The next lap is going to be improvement. The next lap is an improvement, and it just goes to show that Pedro is not getting his full potential out of his car right now, but he is really getting into it, getting a little bit more comfortable with the car's tires and the conditions on track, and it's really showing. I'll be interested to see where he finishes up by the end of today's race. He's 10 seconds behind Sketch, but he has definitely got the fastest laps across the board, easily a second faster than most. Let's have a look at the sectors now in comparison with Pedro, Dart, and Sketch. You can see Pedro in P5, he's 3/10 faster in Sector 1, 1/10 faster in Sector 2. I'll be interested to see how his Sector 3 turns up because he's definitely pumping out some quick laps. So we're curious to see how this shows up for him. Let's jump on board and have a little look to see how he's attacking this part of the track. He is 8/10 faster than Sketch in Sector 3. He's already made up more than a second. We're not even at the end of the lap yet. Already made up more than a second. 8/10 in Sector 3. Really, really quick job from him. 9.37 seconds now. He's making it up. This could be a potential overtake for him. You can see Dart is now 0.007 seconds faster in Sector 2, but he's a little bit slower in Sector 1, sorry. Sector 3, how does Dart fare with Pedro? This would be very interesting to cost compare. Be very curious. And he's also, Pedro is 5/10 faster than Sketch in Sector 4. This is going to be a very, very interesting turn of events. He is now less than 9.5 seconds, down to 9-second difference. If he can continue these sort of laps across the board, this is going to be a very interesting end for him. His last lap being a 128.2. Dart's last lap was a 129.5, and Sketch's was a 130 flat. So this is definitely going to be a very interesting turn of events, and I would be curious to see how this turns out for Pedro. If I was Sketch, I'd be looking at my relative and seeing how close he's getting and how nervous that would make me. I'd be interested to see how Pedro can make it through. Sketch is now 7.9 seconds behind Munkus. Munkus is 2.8. Let's jump back up to our leaders here. You can see Azro 7 seconds behind Tom. Munkus is 2.9 seconds behind Azro. And this is going to be, like I said, make or break. You want to keep it consistent and do a really good job. Josh doing a 130.4. Really quick lap from him. He's made up a second in the last couple of laps, getting a little bit more consistent. And Azro is now coming into the pits. Azro is coming into the pits. If Azro is now pitting with no damage, that tells me that he needs to get fuel, which not only Azro, but I'm assuming everybody is going to have to stop and get fuel. With 4.5 minutes left of today's race, that really does change a lot of things across the board. I don't think Munkus has pit, I don't think Sketch has pit, and I do not think Tom has pit. This is going to be very, very interesting. Sketch has now made his position. He's passed Azro in the pits. He's gotten past him. Is Pedro. Pedro gets past him in the pits. I hope that Azro is not the only one that has to pit and these guys aren't saving fuel. I'll be very interested to see what's going to happen across the board, but Azro is now coming out of the pits. You can see Azro coming out. Dart right behind him. Now Dart is so close, but I think he's still a lap down. Is Dart a lap down or is he in position? This is going to be very interesting. I'm not too sure. I think Dart is still a lap behind. Dart is down here. Who we got here? This is Tim. What am I thinking? I'm just getting so confused. Tim is out in P9. He is 2 minutes behind Josh Garner. Tim has had a very rough start to today. Very rough race so far. Very unfortunate set of laps for him so far. But if I know Timmy, I know he'll make it up very quickly. Let's jump now to Sketch. You can see Sketch out in P3. And again, another one of those drivers that has done such a great job with consistency lately to really put himself up on the top fives for most of these weeks. And he's really continuing that trend here this week at Okayama. Tom is now coming into the pits. And like I said, we knew this is where things were going to get saucy with 3 minutes left. There is 3 minutes left of today's race. Tom is now coming into our pits. The race leader getting into the pits. And you can see we've got Munkus is now coming down pit lane, down the straight. He is going to get in front of Tom to hold P1. Our new race leader for the first time today is Monkus with 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes of today's race. And Sketch is coming into the pits. Sketch is now coming into the pits. God, the camera's going freaking everywhere. Pedro is now going to make it up into P2 if Tom can't get out in before he gets in front. This is going to be really, really close, but it's not. Pedro gets out in front. Tom tucks in right behind. I'll be interested to see if Pedro has to pit, and if he has already, this could be a really, really good finish for Pedro. We knew that he was quick. We knew he was going to do a good job, but I'll be interested to see how he turns it out. Sketch is now coming out of pit exit, and Dart is still really, really close. He's coming around this last part of the track. He's not going to be anywhere close enough to capitalize on Sketch coming out of the pits now, but this is going to be a very interesting turn of events. You've got Tim on the outside, Sketch making his move on the inside, getting past that lapped car, and now we've got less than 2 minutes. We have 2 minutes left of this race. Tim goes wide. Oh, Timmy, no. These cars are absolutely unforgiving. Tim, I'm so sorry to see. So sorry to see. I'm kind of glad I wasn't here this week because I know I'd be doing exactly the same thing. Unfortunate start. Tom is now 1 second behind Pedro. He's out in P3, Pedro P2, and Monkus with an 11.5 second lead into P2. I'll be interested to see what happens here with Monkus. Let's jump on board with him now and see where he's going. He's gone into pits. We knew it was going to happen. We knew he was close. With 1.5 minutes left of today's race, Monkus gets into pit lane. He's going to quickly get some fuel, quickly get back out on track and see what happens. Pit limiter is on. He's gone across the cones, which means now he is limited to the pit speed. And we've got here, underneath that, Pedro and Tom coming across the straight now. Tom right behind. Azro coming around the final corner now, jumping into that queue. And this is going to be interesting. Monkus is in the pits. He's trying to get fuel. He's just stopped in his pit box. It's a quick set of fuel. He'll be out, but I think everyone's going to pass him now. He's got his fuel. He's coming out. Sketch, is he going to make it? Is Sketch going to make it? He's coming around the last corner now. He's not, but this is going to get him in a really good position to get closer to Monkus. I'll be curious to see how this turns out. Monkus is now out in front of Sketch. He's now coming through this hard left, and we've got Kleeman and Pedro, Tom and Pedro, and now on there. I think this is going to be their final lap. They might be getting the white flag right now to finish one lap after this. This is going to be very, very interesting. Pedro out in front. You can see Tom in the distance, 8/10 behind. There has been a lot of chopping and changing, a lot of carnage, a lot of damage. I'm very, very curious to see who's going to finish this race out on top. Pedro really showing the pace here this week. 128.2 was his last lap. Tom's with his best lap as a 128.2. So he is very, very close to the pace. Their differences in their fastest laps is only a 10th. So both of these drivers are really, really competitive, really, really fast. And I'm curious to see how this wraps up for today's round. We've got Tom 6/10 behind, and the best thing Tom has now is the slipstream and the ability to get tucked in behind that car and utilize that clean air as best as he possibly can. I'll be interested to see how this turns out. Half a second, 5/10 behind. Let's jump on board now with Tom and see this final corner. Pedro really using as much of the track as he can. Tom out in third, flat foot as quick as he's possible. Down, this is it. They're across the line. Is this the grid? Is this all finished? I think this is it. I'm seeing a checkered flag. That's all over. I thought we had a lap left, but Tom just completed the fastest lap of today's race with a 128.06, a 128 flat. Incredible job. Absolutely incredible job by our race winners here. Pedro out in front, Tom second, and Azro third. I genuinely thought we still had a lap to go. I thought it was white flag waved, but that is checkered flag. I cannot believe how intense this race has been today. Absolutely bananas. Sketch crossing the line out in P5. Let's jump now down to Dart. See where his Dart's going to finish. He's coming across the line. We've got a big difference to Dart, Patrice, CJ, Josh, and Timmy. So I think this is going to be where our positions end. Josh is 10 seconds behind CJ, but I don't think he's going to have enough time to make it up just yet. We can see CJ right there coming across the line. Dart coming across the line. CJ's just on the straight now to finish and get across the line. This is very, very great racing by everyone today. Well done to everybody. Incredible job. Like I said, a lot of carnage. I knew it was going to be one of those races this week, but a lot of carnage across the board. But everyone did a great job. Really, really tight racing at the end there. I cannot believe in the last 5 minutes, that is where all the overtakes happened, and it really utilized that pit strategy to see who was going to capitalize and come away with the win. Let's jump now and have a look at our results for today's feature race. You can see now we have Pedro out in front, Tom in second, and Azro out in third. The podium champions of today's race weekend, Pedro, Tom, and Azro. Great driving across the board. Tom only 4/10 behind Pedro at the end of everything being said and done. Underneath that, we have Munkus and Sketch finishing our top 5 for today, with Dart, Patrice, CJ, Josh, and Tim finishing out our top 10. Unfortunately, we had Toast, Patrick, Aiden, and Bobby not finish today's races. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was connection issues or if they just didn't have time to do today's race, or if something happened at the start with all that carnage. I have to go back and have a look. But what a way to start and end Okayama here for the Spud Cup season. Absolutely insane, and I'm kind of jealous I missed it. Thank you guys so much for enjoying another race here for the Season 3 of the Spud Cup. Like I've said, I cannot believe how many people are joining in these races, and thank you so much to the community for being involved and being part of the Spud Cup. I am so impressed with all of your driving ability, and I'm so proud to have such a great community competing in these Spud Cups every single week. Season 3 is now coming very, very close to an end, so we will have a Season 4 being announced very, very soon. We're working out what car we're going to use. We're doing a bit of a poll for tracks. So as soon as we have an announcement, we will let everybody know, and the same structure will follow with these replays for the Season 4. I'm very excited to see how that goes. If you guys like this and you want to see the Spud Cup races happen live, we stream them every single Friday. I'll leave the full link to our stream in the description, as well as our schedule. Please come and let me know you found this video and join in on the live races. We would love to have you there. The more the merrier. So please come and say what's up and let me know you found this video. If you like this sort of stuff and you want to see more of my content, I post videos every single week. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. It helps the channel out a bunch, and I appreciate the hell out of you all. If you guys want to find us on any of our other social media, I'll leave all the links to our socials in the description, as well as our link to our Discord server. If you want to keep up to date with all of the Spud Cup news, that is all in our Discord, so please feel free to join and stay posted with what is happening within the Spud Cup world. Other than that, guys, I'm going to leave you all to it. Thank you so much for enjoying this another race week here for the Spud Cup. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!